it's gonna be
Do we ban the
a
Yone
Sejuani
here?
game.
Because that's
Should
what they
be.
like to pair it up with. Hasn't gone. It's had mixed results at best, I think, so far for RNG. Milkyway, whenever he plays the Sejuani, he also like hardcore just like does not farm, sells out for plays, ends up 100 CS down, and with somebody as strong as Junhao, like that is gonna be pretty scary. Yeah, the Akali against Saber, he's played this a bunch throughout the placement stages as well.
I'm trying to think what that would signal though. Like if you're Tangyuan, what would you want?
Like an early Azir or something, maybe?
Yeah, I was trying to avoid the Azir answer, but I think you might just be right. It's the only thing that makes the most sense. Wukong.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not Sejuani.
I'll take it.
Take that. I'll take that. The question is, does Junhao really care? I mean, Skarner's up, right? Like, you could just pick Skarner. And even though it's not the bruiser, you know, pseudo carry champion that you've been piloting all series long, Talia Skarner looks pretty open to me.
It's Junhao we're talking about. This guy's been on a playmaker. He's been on more of a carry slash bruiser for the majority of this series. He's going through a lot of junglers right now, trying to figure out what exactly he could potentially want to play. That Skarner, as you said, very powerful pick. All of 2025, and it's kind of fell a little bit in priority, but still very strong, especially given some of the champions that are no longer available.
Yeah, no longer, you know, red side permaban, blue side perma first pick if it's up. We'll see that one snapped up here by Junhao. Jace, yeah, still up and available. And I wonder what Zhang is going to have as an answer, because the Sion's gone. So is the Rumble, and the Ambessa, and the Gwen. So basically all of the S-tier picks are out.
Yeah.
He could be feeling, I was going to say spicy, and do something like a Maokai, hovering these very cool bruises that we will certainly not get locked into Jace.
I mean, like, this is kind of what he was known for, though.
Ooh,
in the PCS, but instead we're going to get the Yorick. Okay, so my first time casting this kind of new pick in the meta, but it should be fun, especially up against Jace.
So
should be able to trap him in that cage pretty well.
A little bit of personal trivia. Also, caster needs to talk about themselves for at least one dedicated 30-second.
We haven't hit that yet, yeah.
I play a lot of Alawi, or I used to. Yorick demolishes Alawi. So I used to run into this champion a lot. I am very, very familiar with this champion. And I can also tell you, whilst looking for counters to this champion, because I got pretty peeved by its existence for a while, it does really well into Jace. I'm not fully sure about the ins and outs of every particular intricate matchup, detail, because you'd think, well, the ranged W would let you kill the cage really quickly, but with some of the ranged poke of the ghouls and just the general difficulty that Jace can have actually clearing them out at times, he doesn't really get to pressure Yorick as much as you'd think. Plus, he's got that little bit of sustain through his Q in lane that does kind of just push him through some of the early pain points that other laners may find themselves into versus the Jace. And of course, the side lane presence is going to be a forever factor, as focusing back in on the remainder of the picks and bans. Hyper carries being removed away from JiaQi's pool, which makes a lot of sense. The Kai'Sa would have paired up very nicely with a lot of the dive and backline threat of RNG, and then the Jinx for the first kill resets make a whole bunch of logical sense as Ashe. And I'd suspect another utility pick. The Corki, not quite utility, but very lane focused. So it seems like Ultra Prime likely to be picking up a scaling pick of their own. RNG maybe want something a little bit more aggressive in the early stages, but I'm not sure what's really up. You could maybe look at a Caitlyn lane, Lucian Nami maybe at this point. The way that the ADs are banned out, we'll see. Ultra Prime also have options like that for themselves too. Zaya actually slipped his way through, and I quite like it here.
The Rakan also would be available, so maybe that has to be a force takeaway here for RNG to prevent that synergy from coming through. As the bot lane still has to be selected here for RNG. We'll say Ultra Prime, in terms of the range that they have, not super high right now. So we'll see how they do against the potential poke that a Jace can provide later on into this game. RNG need to finish off with the bot lane. JiaQi has been a huge star for this RNG roster. Gonna pick up the Aphelios here.
Aphelios, alright. I haven't seen Aphelios rear his head for a little while. Let's see what you can do on this champion. What's it paired with, I guess, is the big question. Because I'm going to say the Rakan is obviously kind of glaringly good for Ultra Prime, and it's also pretty damn good for RNG's composition. You do feel that JiaQi might be a little bit isolated and alone whilst the rest of his team dives in, but there are ways still that JiaQi can interact and help out with some of that dive. The Caliber Ultimate in particular is probably what you're thinking about. As Niket taking away this Rakan pair, it means that Xiaoxu will disengage. Makes a bunch of sense. The Renata going to help try and poke out and keep the engage at bay in the early stage, and then of course later on with the ultimate as well. RNG are going to have to attack from multiple fronts. Can't really rush face first into a Skarner Talia Renata. It's going to be very, very difficult for RNG to play this out. And again, I feel like, Grapes, as we take a zoom out, RNG have this composition which has a bunch of nuance and takes a relatively high floor to execute. Yeah. Whereas on the opposite side for Ultra Prime, it's a bunch of champs that pretty much play themselves versus RNG's composition and a side lane threat in Yurik. So I don't want to say it, but if the last two games are anything to go by, RNG are going to struggle a fair bit in this one.
I will say it's going to have to come down to, I think, how Zhang plays this Yorick, as the rest of the comp for Ultra Prime does very good in terms of stopping any engages. I feel like, in general, they're not going to want to team fight very much with Zhang on the Yorick. They're going to want to try to keep RNG kind of dizzy across the map, allowing for the Yorick to take different towers and side lanes and the like. But if that doesn't happen, the Yorick doesn't get too far ahead, that could be an RNG in a general 5v5. Could be favored here, however, still a lot to be decided on that front. Again, game number 3 here. Last time these two teams will likely face off against each other for the duration of this split. And what a shame. It's been very close every single time that we have. Again, down here in the Nirvana group, lot at the line, lot on the line for these two teams. Let's start this off. Game number 3 between RNG and Ultra Prime.
Like, especially for Ultra Prime. Shout out to this. Prime guy. Love that.
There's some good stuff over there.
They're just fun to watch. Out of the lower tier teams, they have given us a lot of things to cheer about. I think on the individual level, right? A lot of creative picks coming out. Saber, Jiang, always happy to try and push the envelope on these carry picks. Let's see what we get going here as junglers. Ooh, Ken. He could have started Q if he wanted to kill that ward, but he doesn't. But information traded.
Kill the ward to potentially
the
slow
reason
your
why,
play down a bunch.
Yeah, exactly. The reason why Junhao does that is that, of course, whilst Xiaoxu is in a matchup which you'd probably consider losing, that mid lane brush control is super important. And Junhao doesn't really need that ward for anything else. So placing it down so that Jung has a little bit more leeway to work with is very, very helpful. That's why we saw that jungle to jungle matchup. Okay, so if game 1 is anything to go by, milkyway will be looking for an invade, because that's what this leash was for. We're also going to see a level 1.
Yeah, Ultra Prime kind of called their bluff a little bit. They knew that they like going for these leashes, and so they chunk out Niket a little bit. I will say Xiaoxu took a decent chunk of damage in response. We're gonna press the heal button, I guess.
Okay. I mean, I feel like you know what?
You don't
sure.
have to try to don't even worth try to explain it. He did it, and that's that. It's behind us.
No, I'm not gonna. You guys can figure out why they did that.
We'll leave it.
Milky Way, I assume, is gonna sprint straight to blue buff. Otherwise, what was the point of the leash? He's pathing to top side. I can see him drawing the chickens to top side.
Nope. There he goes. Maybe he somehow thinks that. I don't know. There was a ward of the Raptor Pit. They know exactly where Junhao was, I think. So that's weird.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Not the first time tonight that I've seen the bottom laners give a leash over to Milky Way.
Now, it hasn't hurt the RNG bot lane as much as it did in game number 1 when this thing happened. It's the heal from Niket, but it seems like he almost would have used it even if he was full HP in that situation, given how strong it was. The difference is the wave still is getting crashed in from Wako and Xiaoxu. Definitely means that Junhao will have opportunity to get some vision around this bottom side jungle, but it's not going to mean as much as it did in the first game.
No, not for now. Junhao is here on this bottom side of the map. He's going to clear out this ward too that Tangyuan just placed, so going to feel a little bit bad, but it's the life of living in the mid lane. Junglers will be around your lane very frequently. Not going to pop the plant? Fair enough, Milky Way.
He's just teasing it. Yeah. Not much information to get from that, I guess, right now. Okay. I guess I'll probably do that at this point.
Did leave a ward on that chicken camp, so we'll see Junhao on it on the next rotation. Whereas there was no ward left. Yeah, that trade looks really fun. And that is...
Interactive gameplay right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the power of this Yorick. As JiaQi was not in the cannon form, so he could not proc those quick auto attacks to try to break that cage. What a... What?
You know... Same, guys. Same. He just
it's like when you do like a dance, you know, like you play like a normal game sometimes, dance party in the mid, and everyone like decides to flash for fun. Like one person flash and everyone tries to just like does it in response. That's what that felt like for Wako. He saw Niket burn the heal earlier, was like, all right, man, I'll do the same. I'll do it out of respect, because one Inferno auto attack was not worth the barrier being procced. That's my expert analysis right
there. I'm inclined to agree, but Wako isn't, so I don't know.
Really not.
One of you two is sat on an LPL stage right now.
That is, you know, maybe I should just sit down and catch the game.
Yeah, exactly. Just cost the game, buddy.
Just yell at the things on the screen.
Yeah.
Don't criticize them. We are in the Nirvana
early game,
so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got some bars at least. Hey, I mean, quite early game so far. I think that really benefits Ultra Prime as things stand. The scaling is just incredibly potent. Their composition is fantastic at dealing with dive, and RNG have a whole bunch of it. So I do imagine that these interactions, once we get to the skirmishes later on in the game, are going to suck. Now, what is going to feel good for them at the very least is picking up these grubs. They're going to get all three. Will be a trade for the dragon. And in this weird way, you know, Ultra Prime are going to feel a little bit sad about not getting the grubs with John, but getting an early dragon, as milkyway is actually crossing over. They want to stop this. Saber watches out on that knock-up.
Junhao and Xiaoxu, they weren't able to do it fast enough. I mean, it's just a tank and a support. And so it slightly resets, but with RNG having more members here, it should very easily be this dragon going over. And because the bot lane for Ultra Prime is still on the bottom side, no contest for that grub's available, and JiaQi is able to come back up and catch this.
Oh.
I just assumed it was gone, but it ended up. Oh, he flashed for it too. You know, I want to quote my friend Yanni, who's also does some of these broadcasts here. He did the first Nirvana group game, and he said it sent him into Nirvana. It sent him up to a higher plane of being. I feel like that's where we're at right now, where it's almost like a dream. We're like a different set of reality of how we're working and how League of Legends operates here.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe not in a good way, but
no.
Definitely different than what we were expecting coming in, right? So.
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm achieving Nirvana watching that flash.
See, that's because you haven't fully embraced it yet.
Yeah, no, no, I haven't. My time away from the LPL is not allowing me to mentally get it yet, you know?
Yeah, this is not the LPL we're expecting, where there's 0 kills 8 minutes in. This is not what I signed up for.
Yeah, like, since when am I watching an LCK game? You know, like,
yeah.
What's going on here? Get your stuff together, gang. Throw some stuff at each other.
This is very, very uncharacteristic, I will say. As we're seeing a little bit about what this York is going to be able to do. Pop that ultimate, have it run around, push out these waves, force responses. Like in terms of the 1v1 matchup with Jace, I think part of it is also like that ghoul is gonna be very difficult to kill, just like as a Jace. Will be able to stay alive for a long time in one of these side lanes. You see Jong running right back down to the top side, and I don't imagine he's gonna try to group up with the rest of his team very much in this game.
Nope. Hopefully Ultra Prime just let him do the Uric thing. It is. Honestly, it's a nightmare playing split pushes in solo queue because your team just wants to fight constantly, right? Like be around the objectives and just flip it when you could just win on the side lane. Hopefully this doesn't turn into one of those games. Again, RNG do have a lot of ways to force engages between milkyway and Niket, and then even Tangyuan. But with Ultra Prime's significant amount of peel, I do think that they're gonna really struggle to find consistently positive outcomes, especially as the game goes later and later and Saber gains more access to damage. Just let Jiang split. Honestly, let him tear apart these side lanes. We spoke. Oh no, is he actually going to be able to kill Maiden? We spoke about how RNG, of course, gave up the grubs temporarily to get that dragon. They were able to go and collect those other 3. So, if specifically Xiaoxu is left alone on the side lane, maybe he can chew into a tower, but I feel like he's going to be the one defending his tower more than he's going to be hitting the enemy tower.
Yep. If anything, it's like kind of a denial away from the York. Like, the York has 6 grubs. Oh man, it's tough. We are getting a little bit of an engage as Niket tries to go for the play on a Saber, does get shoved back in and has to use the flash in that exchange. So just a little bit of pressure. Grub is not available here, but at least that topside scuttle will be for Milky Way.
Great reaction time from Saber. There's certainly been a pick that RNG can make. A bit off time with objectives though. Niket using that flash now does feel a little rough, but maybe once that ultimate comes back up and the objectives are up, they can force their way onto Saber, and that will be the important difference maker here for one of these next objectives. For the time being, the next 6 seconds or so, just keep your eyes on the minimap. You can see the setup that is available to RNG. Ultra Prime. More of their wards currently littered very scarcely around this bottom side. See if this ends up being Grubs for Dragon again, but this time in a little more earnest.
Yeah, it was Grubs and Dragon for RNG last time around, which is a big win for them. And you got to shout out Milky Way a little bit in that regard. Also this time around, actually kind of even if not ahead a little bit in terms of farm, which is not something we could have said over those last couple of games. Junhao has had himself a really good go of things. However, now on a different champion style than he was over those first 2 on the Zip Down and the Lee Sin. He was able to have a little bit more agency, but for Skarner, much more about playing for the rest of the team, which might be a problem if the rest of the team can't stack up the way Junhao is doing.
We'll see. But again, I just feel like the way that these 2 comps interact, I find it very difficult to believe that Ultra Prime will ever struggle actually win out on skirmishes once they're together. See, Saber's actually roamed up from this bottom side, now they're looking.
Oh, there's a flash engage with a handshake from Xiaoxu combined with the impale. That's first blood going over to Junhao and Ultra Prime.
Yeah, very quick engage onto Niket, who is pretty much the main form of it, right? So with him gone, should be able to pick up these 2 grubs. Jiang might be in a bit of trouble. Ultra Prime can just wrap around, help their jungler and top laner get out of the pit, and that's more or less what they do there. Ultra Prime will at the very least pick up 2 grubs just to even out some things. The dragon is up and available, but it's a great pick onto Niket, who speaking of hips.
Oh! The Between Worlds came out just a little bit too late as Xiaoxu already was able to completely channel the back. And that's another opportunity for him to get away. I will say, you know, burning the Flash and the Ronaldo ultimate for that play, just for the recon, maybe maybe not super worth it, but especially if it means that you could be in a worse position for this Dragon that RNG are going to start up. It makes them 2-0, and it looks like Ultra Prime don't want to contest.
Yeah, it's certainly a valid concern. It does put pressure, like you say, on Ultra Prime to be in a position to contest that third Dragon. Infernal Soul Rift is what we will end up with here. See how Ultra Prime look to navigate once that next Dragon spawns up. Do you remember Infernal Rift, man? I miss it.
Oh, with all the map looking all different. Yeah. Now we just get the little shards in the ground, which is fun. It's like playing a little mini game, but map fully like shifted, things like that. That was nice.
Because we still get like some, right? Like ocean changes some brushes, but not so much.
And we just saw the towers go down really quickly on both sides. As we now have more towers killed than champions killed in this game. That goes to show where we're at.
Okay, do you remember last game? It was last game, I think. I'm losing my sense of time. Where you're like, hey, do you reckon was it this game? He's like, these teams maybe they're playing more passive because you know,
yeah,
a lot more's on the line. This is where I do believe that.
Now that it's game 3, maybe.
Now that it's game 3, this is where I do believe that. A little bit more tense for the time being. But I feel like once the floodgates open, that's it.
And also, if you are Ultra Prime, you generally are trying to avoid full-on 5v5 team fights, especially at this point in the game. You want to just allow for the side lanes to happen, find picks maybe, like they were able to do onto Niket earlier. Go for these little net positive plays across the map, like they're trying to do here on the bottom side. And they have actually stacked up 4. Now 5 as Wako is running down here.
Yeah, I love this though. I mean, they are going to be losing a bit on the top side, but just opening up these side lane towers so that later on in the game, jump a little bit more freedom. Perhaps he might even be able to defend this top side tower. It looks like he will.
This is
a lot of
fascinating.
HP on it.
We're playing Farm Simulator in like kind of in a pretty fun way actually. Just the rotations are not for kills this game, Jamada. They're for turrets. They're for waves, and that's what the first 16 minutes of this game have become.
Yeah. And again, you can only think that it's going to benefit Ultra Prime. As they are the ones that have the composition that thematically counters out RNG's. So without a major gold lead in RNG's back pocket, you do feel a sense of fear, maybe, that they're never going to find it, you know? Unless a large amount of creativity comes out from them and Ultra Prime make a couple of positional mistakes, perhaps. But until then,
it will mean for then RNG are able to pick up at least this Dragon, or this Rift Herald I should say, as ultimates thrown out kind of for fun. It's fine. Rift Herald does get picked up though, overall by milkyway. And that's the price that Ultra Prime will pay for that.
Oh, hello. I was wondering if he's just going to immediately impale him. I had no idea that if you were berserked and there was a ward nearby, that was invisible. You would still hit. I've seen that before. Even the wards are sentient.
I know, the ward also didn't die. Common
The
theme.
ward also did not die. Nothing dies in this game, Grape.
No, not yet. Other than the towers, which have been the main focus here for Ultra Prime. Makes sense given the York in the game. Curious to see like how they continue to play this one out, because you do also for Ultra Prime, you have the semi-global in the Talia Weaver's Wall, and that could help turn 2v1 into a 2v2 if people start to collapse onto Zhang, or if an overload happens on the bot side in a situation like this, and later on into the game, Ultra Prime could then use some of those spells to make their way towards the Baron, make their way towards another cross-map play. So those are the other games that UP can play with the composition that they have. I think just in general, though, trying to avoid going for that 5v5.
Yeah, I think for as long as you can stay away from it. But even then, I feel like the way that Ultra Prime theoretically should be involved in fights, you don't even necessarily mind 4v4s at all, and even a 5v5. I'm not going to say favorable.
Hey. There goes Tangyuan.
Yeah.
Between worlds, at least just forces a flash. Dragon is up and available, as RNG would love to pick this one up, but now, without the ultimate on their mid laner, maybe it could be a little bit more difficult.
Big chunk of AoE damage gone with Tangyuan's ult down. He does have Malignance, so maybe this is danced around long enough for it to be back up. It's a third off cooldown already.
Rift Arrow gets popped here by RNG as well, as Ultra Prime get first dibs on the Dragon, but now have to peel off a little bit just to make sure that the rest of their base doesn't crumble before their eyes. Milky Way going to try to go maybe for a steal, but is not there in time. The Maiden doing some good work up in that Dragon pit as well, as Ultra Prime get their first Dragon of the game.
Ultra Prime under any pressure anymore. That's my big takeaway. No third Dragon for RNG.
That's big.
Tangyuan should get this tower, just because Saber's pathing was a little on the safer side. One will let the minions do the rest and take a reset. I think that's fine. And Arakon's on the top side of the map, so Jiang is exactly where he wants to be.
Yeah, just chill here.
Just down here on the boss side.
Stay a while. Build a Hullbreaker.
Is he going towards Hullbreaker?
I don't know. I would assume that becomes part of the build at some point, given that Ultra Prime have shown no initiative to be grouped up really at all. It's just a Triforce for now. It could really turn into anything. Yeah, maybe it is. There's a Tunneler. Yeah. We got a Hullbreaker.
Yeah, Tunneler and the speed item. What's that called again? Wingplate?
Wingplate? Yeah. I just say the move speed health item. But
yeah.
So there's some, as a play-by-play caster, there's some things that you need to know the names of, right? Like Cyclone for Wukong, for example, Moonlight Vigil for the affiliates.
I don't
need to know what a winged moonblade is. I think that's right. Yeah. Nobody, you're not calling that in a team fight, you know.
That is like one of the best parts about being a color caster is you don't really need to know the names of the abilities, just the default key that they are attached to.
Yeah. You get away with it sometimes, but
I mean, I guess there are some. There's like some that are cool ones, like in this game, for example, Featherstorm, right?
Yeah.
Featherstorm. What else?
Don't see an Impale come out for Junhao, but no, doesn't want to use it. I think he's used it really all game. I think he's used it maybe one time to pick up the one skill that he has onto Niket. So that's kind of the position that we're in this game with Jamada. That's why we are now teaching.
You know what? I'll pass it on.
101.
I'll pass on the question very briefly before we continue. Pass the door to the chat. Out of these 10 champions, what's your favorite ability name here, if you have one, of course. It's not the most riveting question in the world, but seems we're here on this topic.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
If these two teams don't want to fight, then what? What can we do? But sit here and wait and
honestly,
assess
we should just have
item resets. You know.
I know we don't have the observers for video feed in our ear.
Yeah.
Obviously, because they're remote. I would love them to just follow Zhang the whole game.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching. Whenever Los Tonis play, I watch Baus. I just like watching him, the way he clears waves and stuff is fun. This is the entertainment that we need. It actually looks like RNG might be starting up his Otacon buff, and that could be the signal for Ultra Prime to go for a fight.
Okay. Do they know they should? Yeah, no, they see Xiaoxu hitting stuff. Now they see it for certain.
I'm still bot, so looks like it might be a steal. If nothing else, it will just be the Otacon going over without a kill being given. And so that is the false revives now on everybody on RNG. It comes at the cost of the tier 2 turret down bot, though.
Grapes, that's awesome. All right. I
Okay.
raise you 2 minutes and 30 seconds of inactivity from Ultra Prime.
Can't wait.
Wait. We send Jung top. Wait, we send Jung top, and we just window shop the next dragon. How does that sound? That sounds.
We just pretend,
fantastic
we
to
make
me.
it look like we're gonna maybe threaten it. Okay, that's cool.
Wait. Take a look at Jung's opening through mid. He's baiting us. He's not gonna walk to the bot side. Surely not. He's gonna walk top.
And okay, and this is like
Wherever the objective is, he will not be.
and, yeah. To talk about the state of the game a little bit.
Okay, sure.
The reason that dragon for Ultra Prime, that last dragon, was so big, is because now, with the false lives, if RNG were playing for a soul here, Ultra Prime would be way more forced to try to go for it.
Oh, yeah,
Now you can just
certainly.
purely give it up, and that's what RNG are gonna have to do for the remainder of this game. Jamada, they're gonna have to focus around these big neutral objectives and make Ultra Prime make that decision. Problem is they're going to have to be snappy on that decision-making process, right? Because if they aren't,
Yeah.
Jung will just rip apart their base, which
Now,
is going to be stopped by Xiaoxu.
4 versus 4. I think Ultra Prime win. I'm just gonna be
Xiaoxu
honest.
pushing mid though. Ball comes out. It actually separates Tangyuan
It's
from
just
the
a
rest of the
50-50.
team. We're going to try to 50-50, and it gets secured by Ultra
Oh,
Prime.
man.
Making an absolute robbery, and they're going to send Niket back to base as well. It's going to come at the cost of JiaQi pushing in onto the tier 3 in the mid lane. Going to be matched by Jung's teleport. That is a big cooldown. But Ultra Prime, they just bought themselves 10 more minutes of not fighting, Jamada.
Yeah,
is great.
that they did. I would have thought it was Saber TPing there to the mid lane, but alas, it's Jung. So this is where things do get a little bit awkward, because a Uric teleport to top side when the Baron is up is like last case, situation. Someone's been picked. I need to be there, right? That's the kind of setup. Without TP, Jung can't reasonably be bot lane anymore. He can't be where the objective is.
Yeah. Well,
Grapes.
you could
this
just
might be where they fight.
Yeah, you might be forced to. And I think now actually the maiden on cooldown, I believe, for Jung right now as well. So that could be a bit of a problem. The gold lead has slowly crept in favor of RNG, as now they're actually going to go on to Jung just a little bit. Send the ghouls at Xiaoxu, make him do a decent chunk of damage. But I mean, right now, why not go for the fight in a 5v5 that RNG should be a little bit stronger in because of all the hard engage that they have?
Yeah. Sure-ish. Again, Talia, Renata, Skana kind of throw up a particular finger out of all 5 to this much engage.
That is true. JiaQi though, very strong.
Oh.
2.5 full items. Looks like Ultra Prime actually going for the engagement. Niket, once again, is going to get caught out. Uses the battle dance to escape, and will leave with his life. And that is the impale for Junhao now down. RNG have a timer on the map that they can potentially use.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like Mercs did a bit more than they should have for that Talia stuff.
Hey,
but
beats the strength? Is that part of it? I don't know.
No.
100%. No, okay. I'll take it back.
And I was gonna say for a second that I don't. Am I being mind controlled? Did a dragon used to give tenacity? And was it Chemtech before they changed it to shield and heal power?
I feel like Chemtech
like
Drake
it
is
used to
given like 3 different things in the course of like the last
Yeah.
couple of years. So
It has. Does it still do it? I'm looking this up. Does the shield power? Does it also?
as you look it up,
No one's gonna die. No one's gonna-
potentially
yeah, that's-
breaking out. We're just
Chemtech
throwing out
Drake.
ultimates for fun, right? At this point, no intention of killing, obviously. How dare we? Teleport actually almost close to coming back up for Jung, as now Junhao gets out alive. Why wouldn't he?
Let's see. It does still give tenacity.
Maybe that helped a little bit here.
Whoa!
Here's
Hey!
finally an engage. It comes out on a huge feather storm from Wako. Picks up the first 2 kills for Ultra Prime. Junhao, he lands a huge ultimate as well onto Tangyuan, and this is the fight that Ultra Prime were looking for. JiaQi is down, and only Xiaoxu is left alive. It finally is broken open, Jamada, and Xiaoxu can't do a damn thing. It's a clean ace for UP.
Grapes! We waited 27.5 minutes. And it's a 5-man ace. You can't make this up, man. Well, look. Everyone at home, Grapes, you, as much as you try to type it, I warned you. I warned you what would happen.
Yeah. I was
he
thinking,
engaged.
like, is it maybe it's more of a 4v5 when Yorick's not really a good team champion? They started it off well.
Yeah, and then Niket gets deleted. And milkyway can't play the game because Skarner's in it. Tangyuan doesn't have flash, so Junhao just flash impales him. JiaQi also didn't get to play the game because he got caged. Yeah, this is just how this is supposed to go. I don't know what else to say. They had to try and do this like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And they didn't. So, yeah, now we're here. This 4K gold lead feels like a 14,000 gold lead in actual game state.
And remember, Ultra Prime got all those, got some of the dragons like flipped away from them, so now they could actually pick up a third Infernal, which is going to help even more. I was going to mention that JiaQi was pretty strong with his Felios. Do a lot of heavy lifting here with the red and white guns. And we may get another fight breaking out. JiaQi has to flash over the dragon pit wall to try and stay alive, and so does Saber to match soon. Tangyuan throws out the Between Worlds, but it's very underleveled at this point in the game. Saber has to go golden. He will go down. This will be the first kill for RNG, and it goes the way of JiaQi. They will pick up this dragon, but with the Baron buff, it's going to be Zhang pushing on the top side. Already has gotten that tier 2. Could look for a tier 3. The smite goes in favor of Milky Way, and now RNG have to run as Ultra Prime. They can now play the cancel the back game as the inhibitor will go down to the top lane.
Knock knock. Yurik's at your door. Inhibs down in the top side. They're like, Ultra Prime don't mind this trade at all. As these super minions will start pouring down this top side for the next wave. And I mean, sure, they don't get the dragon, but they could just play these two lanes now, take complete control. Yurik on the bot side, Zhang on the bot side, the rest of the team in the mid lane. As long as they control the vision on this bottom side of the map so they can't get pincered, don't really have to worry about engages from one angle. The Baron is not going to be up on the map for another 3-4 minutes. Ultra Prime have a very, very actionable plan of action to secure this game.
Let's go to the other lane. Now you've mission accomplished top side. You got two more, at least one more side lane to go do that with. Take a look right now. Zhang currently 3,000 gold ahead of Xiaoxu, who hasn't really done too much wrong. Just playing the wrong champion in this matchup, I suppose.
I mean, he
really
got counterpicked, right? Like,
yeah.
It's not really his fault, and I don't think you can.
Trying his best.
I don't think Aurora does anything to you. I feel like
also
the
very
lane might be a little bit more annoying at most.
Tangyuan just hits 15. JiaQi's level 16. So they're really funneling all the farm into him at this point.
80.
Yeah.
Ah.
JiaQi probably the only hope to try to kill Zhang in a fight. Now it's the Guardian Angels. He has to kill him twice. It's 4 items. He's 1-0-1 has 4 items.
Yeah, I think he's only a little bit scary. It's not a big deal.
Alright, so if you are RNG, is it just kind of doomed because of the team fight, because of the team comp gap at this point, or like what are you trying to
my
do
best
now? You have soul point. That's helpful. Potentially, you can try to trade soul for Baron or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, as an entertainer, as a commentator, as a craftsman, I am trying my best.
Give me some
say that
coke.
This game isn't over.
Give me some coke, Jamada.
That said, okay, look, if they kill Zhang, then they only have to kill him again.
Just halfway there.
Oh, they're not even there anymore.
They baited us. Those damn observers. Okay, we are inching closer to those objectives being back up, and so time to reset things a little bit. Right now, the gold lead swung very heavily in favor of Ultra Prime, and all the gold kind of in the members that they want it to be, specifically Zhang on the split pushing Yorick. He's going to continue to harp onto this bottom lane tier 3, continue to get that wave crashed down. On the other side for RNG, you're really looking at JiaQi. They funneled all the farm, all the resources into him. And RNG and Milky Way, they can't even find a pick on a Saber. Nails his dash over the wall.
Are they gonna collapse? Do they feel like they have the time? Niket's on the way.
Now would be the time before the Baron comes up.
The Maiden. My beloved.
Run!
No.
Okay. The Maiden, they killed the Maiden more times than RNG's killed champions this game.
Do you know what's fantastic, by the way? The Maiden dies, and I just hear the chat ping about 5 times immediately. And I just know that it was someone on RNG pinging ult. I know that's what it was.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
for the next 45 seconds. As it comes
dude,
up,
Jung had that one for a long time too. Like one died earlier in the game. That one he cast at like 10 minutes.
Is it the same one? No way.
Yeah. Because remember, Maiden, like if you go back to base, it goes back to base.
Comes back with you, yeah. Follows you around.
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
here we go.
In the chat for Maiden.
The Baron's up.
Yeah.
So Ultra Prime kind of forcing RNG to go for a 5v5 potentially, or 4v4, with the bot lane still kind of going the way that it is with Jung pushing down. Xiaoxu trying his best to match it. Yeah.
Well, ish. You know what Jung can do here? Hit the tower about Xiaoxu carry. No, Maiden!
No!
Maiden, wait! No!
Okay, wait. Maybe I was wrong. Once you get the Sereldas, it seems like it works pretty well for Xiaoxu. So now Jung actually doesn't have the ultimate, and now JiaQi gets away from that initial engage, and that's a lot of cooldowns used by Ultra Prime. RNG now trying to go on the offensive a little bit. Tangyuan goes between worlds. Milky Way looking for the engage in the cycle. Can't find it just yet. Gets stunned up here by the Unraveled Earth, and here comes a teleport in.
Oh my
Jung,
god, he's
going towards the top side. Will it be for the end? Already a back being channeled here by Xiaoxu. He'll be making sure he's able to match, but the inhibitor will go down and potentially more. Here goes the big ultimate. Is 1 kill going towards RNG. The dragon would be sold for them if they could pick it up. A Milky Way has to flash away. He's taken down very low. Junhao is still huge on the front line as Wako is hitting onto Tangyuan. Still
it's ugly.
At the ready. Who's gonna get it? RNG secure the soul, but will it matter? Here comes Wako. A huge flash blade caller is gonna pick themselves up 4 kills. And in the mid lane, it is still Jung pushing into the base, and Ultra Prime should be able to march it down mid.
Yep, I'd have a big fat smile on my face too, buddy. Got some waves to crash. Teleport's coming in from Saber on the bottom side. They'll end this game one way or another, I'm sure. The death time is 30 seconds long for the members that matter. Niket's up in 15, but between him and Xiaoxu, I don't think a 2 versus 5 is working. Maybe you get Saber. Saber still has flash.
They're just going for the Nexus turret. That's all that matters at this point. It's 5 seconds on the catch. Xiaoxu already out of the fight. Ultra Prime, we waited and waited and waited, but they finally come alive here in game number 3. Take the series over RNG.
Come alive is a strong word, Grapes. I appreciate your
It rolled out of bed. That's right.
Yeah. Well, look, it's a big win for Ultra Prime. We've spoken about the importance of this matchup in particular, just because of how close these two teams were matched up in their group in the placement stage. And picking up a win, maintaining their winning record here. Super important. Gets them off to a good start in Group Nirvana. And as the stage transpires again, remember, bottom 2, you are out for the rest of the year. And this is only a 1-round robin. You do not have the same privilege of playing 2 rounds against your opponents in Group Nirvana. So this is a very, very big win as Ultra Prime pack up.
It's so tough because you have to think to yourselves, like, if you're RNG, the first initial thought is, because you're playing in a regular season, is that, it's literally our first series of Split 2 after the placement stages. Like, we should have more time, but you just have 4 series left. And if things go wrong over these next 4 series, all of a sudden you're looking at a very different expectation and very different result than what you had expected going into this split after what was a a season early on where you did show some promise, and so that's definitely a big deal if you are RNG to not end up taking this one, especially because game number 1 you had complete control, and I agree with our production down there. I didn't like that last game. I don't know about you.
What was that? Yeah, I don't know. Like, RNG, it always feels like a cop-out when you bring it up, but just the drafting of this series didn't seem like it was in the right frame of mind, you know? I think the Game 2 draft was, again, incredibly difficult to execute, and whilst I think the ease of execution was certainly a lot better for game number 3, the nuance to having to play that composition into what was a very reactive Ultra Prime comp of just complete disengage and throwing yourself head first into that, right? You could have first picked the Skarner. You could have very easily first picked the Talia away. Just kind of tank whatever the Jace matchup is on the other side and find something there. Instead, they let both those champions go through and, unfortunately, drafted full dive into like 2-3 full dive into Talia Skarner. I can't really hammer this home enough. How much they kind of deserve to get that game.
And those champions weren't picked. It wasn't like some crazy R5. Like, those are picked relatively early on in the draft. The Skarner was through the first rotation, and so you knew kind of how to or what to expect from this Ultra Prime draft going in. And so if you're RNG, it felt like they were going more towards comfort than they were necessarily towards like a coherent comp and a full team identity in those last couple of games. And that came into full display this time around, where they just, even in the one team fight that they really tried to force, and it seemed like they got some good combos off, Ultra Prime just kind of snapped their fingers and aced them.
I wouldn't even say it was like snap their fingers.
It just
RNG snapped their fingers to make an engage happen after 28 minutes. And then they got their fingers snapped instead. That was kind of how that went. Again, it's difficult to not feel disappointed, and especially if you're an RNG fan, because frankly, these were disappointing performances in drafts. I mean, look at this was a 36-minute game where the champion that dealt the most damage was 16,000.
That's like, what is it?
Less than 500 DPM a minute.
No, we don't like that here. We like the 1,000 damage per minute games here in the LPL. It's not what we were expecting.
I don't think I've seen a lower interaction LPL game than this.
Felt like I was back in season 6, season 7, the Ardent Sensor meta a little bit. As we'll get. I don't know how many replays we're gonna get, because it's this one and then probably just this ace team fight right here. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Ace team fight. There was the dragon fight, which surely happens after this one. There can't be anything else in this replay package because they did a bloody fight. Oh man, I mean, hey, credit to Ultra Prime though, to do a little bit of celebrating for a second.
Yeah, definitely.
This was a very, very well disciplined performance, I think, from game 2 to game 3. And whilst I wouldn't say discipline was necessarily the word of choice I would use in game 1, certainly a much more uniform team than RNG showed up today with that composition that was supposed to kind of spike on one item, right? 1-2 items, couldn't quite execute on it. Didn't end up mattering for the grand scheme of the series. It was just an extra game for them to play.
There we go. That Wako play was the highlight of the game. That was certainly a very nicely done. That was very nicely done on the Blade Collar right there for the Xayah. But yeah, we've now seen each of the teams in Group Nirvana play exactly one series. All 3 of them have gone the full distance. They've gone the full 3 games, and we're gonna do that continuously over the next few weeks, as well as we finish off this single round robin. And it seems to me, Jamada, that all the teams in this group could be competitive with each other, just given the fact that all of our first 3 series went 3 games, even though we went into this expecting, maybe an RNG Ultra Prime to be towards the top in terms of who can make it out of this group.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ultra Prime have gotten the better of RNG here. At the end of the day, RNG still do have 4 other teams to play, right? So We'll see once the dust settles, probably after everyone's third series, everyone will have a pretty solid idea of how, you know, these teams like to stack up. Doesn't mean that teams can't turn it around, but let's just say for argument's sake that OMG is 0-3. Very reasonable. The likelihood is probably won't make it out. We won't be seeing them until next year. And also, just as I mentioned, OMG, they have no relevance to today or for a couple of days, maybe. I'm not actually sure when their next game